So Bitcoin is doing exactly what it's supposed to do mid-cycle, even though it doesn't feel like it. The data is showing that this pullback is completely normal. We've seen these 20, 25, or even 30% retracements time and time again. And to be honest with you, every single time, the higher time frame structure remains intact. So the volatility is just the market resetting leverage and refilling liquidity before the next move. So even with the fear, uncertainty, people losing their minds, and some people even leaving the crypto space forever, the big picture still leans bullish. Let's dive in. So we have Arthur Hayes coming to the forefront again. So pretty much talking about the privacy narrative. And this has been one of the loudest stories in the entire market, talking about Zcash, because Zcash just printed one of the wildest monthly runs this year, exploding more than 400% from just $137 up to $730 before cooling off in the mid 500s. So you have Dash, Decred, and ZK Zinc all followed this triple digit gains. This isn't meme coin rotation. This is liquidity, real volume, and real attention pouring into the sector that people have ignored for a while now. Like, we haven't talked about privacy for a long time. But we started with midnight, and with midnight, there was a good bit of talk about privacy and the need for privacy. But we see here, Arthur Hayes revealed that Zcash is now his second largest holding in his family office, trailing only to Bitcoin. That's what he says. So big announcement there. And I don't know, like, it seems like suddenly people come out and say, oh yeah, I had this, right? That's why I try to tell everyone, watch what they do, not what they say. Because this is the first time I've heard Arthur Hayes talk about Zcash ever. And all of a sudden Zcash pops, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, I have that too. Right? So try to watch what they do, not what they say. Look at on-chain data, look at the movements in the market, because Zcash, now people are coming out to work saying, yeah, I told you about Zcash. And just, I would say, watch what people do. Don't just go off of what they say. Because if you go just off of what Arthur Hayes was saying, you would have just heard what Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And now he's talking about an altcoin that we've never heard of. So that's no shade. I'm just saying, it's definitely something. Zcash comeback is driven by grassroots privacy movement. So something to pay attention to. Congrats to everyone that was holding Zcash. And I definitely think that the privacy focus is huge, especially as we talk about governments getting into the mix with crypto assets, and some even wanting to roll out CBDCs. I definitely think that people want that privacy. They want that even as an option. So we'll see how this plays out, especially as we continue this privacy push, right? And he's betting, Arthur Hayes is pretty much saying that privacy will become a major pillar next cycle. So we'll see. I definitely think there is value, and there is a need for privacy in the crypto space. So next up, we have Warren Buffett making headlines. Warren Buffett pours $61.7 billion into a single U.S. asset as Berkshire Hathaway's cash holdings surge. So here we see making headlines again, Warren Buffett pouring billions of dollars into U.S. debt. A new SEC filing shows Berkshire Hathaway surged its short-term treasury bill holdings by $61.7 billion in the third quarter of 2025, which reaching $305.36 billion by September 30th. This is huge. So a massive increase followed a second quarter decline. Meanwhile, cash and equivalents stood at $76.3 billion at quarter's end. So they're making moves. They're making pivots. So this is something that, like I said, watch what's happening. A lot of people are waiting on catalysts for price appreciation for different assets, right? There's a lot to talk about XRP, right? Believe it or not, there are things that need to come into play for not just XRP, but the entire crypto industry to boom. And that's what this moves like this, betting on debt, right? Saying here, making moves based off of U.S. debt and short-term treasury bill holdings, right? That is a play, and that is part of those catalysts that people are waiting for, and it's a crazy amount. So why is that important? Because it tells you how one of the most conservative and successful investors in history is viewing the macro landscape. Buffett is loading up on safety, liquidity, and stability while keeping his options high. So defensive positioning is a direct signal that he's preparing for volatility and unpredictability and wants maximum flexibility. That's what this means, right? So that's why it's important. So while crypto rotates into aggressive play, traditional finance giant Warren Buffett is fortifying and putting itself together with saying, look, there's going to be some volatility. There's going to be things that are unexpected. Let me build up this cash reserves to make a play. So that's what we're seeing here. That is the value there. So like I said, watch the movement. Forget what's said at the meetings. Forget what's said on CNBC, on the news. Watch the moves. This move right here is crucial, very important, especially as we plan for that volatility. And honestly, people in crypto, we profit from that volatility. We don't profit from things being predictable and stagnant and slow. The profits are made in the volatility for sure. So next up, we have iTrust Capital, our partners at iTrust Capital. And to be honest with you, we talked about privacy coins as well earlier. This is where it all ties back to iTrust Capital, because if you're rotating into this privacy narrative, especially after seeing what Zcash just did and the rest of the sector just did, you need to be doing a thorough investigation and have pretty much a basic structure built for tax efficiency. So you have Zcash, Dash, and ZK Zinc are now officially tradable inside iTrust Capital IRA. So instead of chasing gains in taxable account, you can manage the same strategy inside a protected environment with transparent 1% per trade pricing. So iTrust Capital uses institutional grade closed loop custody with regulated U.S. custodians, and you can buy or sell 24/7. So in a narrative, this explosive efficiency and security matter. People don't want to be second guessing. Some people aren't built for self custody either, right? And that's even though I am a big proponent of self custody, like my mom should not be self custody. She needs that support to make sure she doesn't lose her crypto, right? And that's where iTrust Capital brings tremendous value, providing a solution for those people that just should not be self-custodying, but they should not keep their crypto on an exchange. It's just, unless you're trading, right? And even then, you should trade, get your profits, take it out, right? So there is value in not self-custodying, and iTrust Capital is providing that value and providing that option for people that need that support. So huge shout out to iTrust Capital, our channel partners who are adding value and providing a real world solution that's simple for people older, people that aren't tech savvy, an option to still get that exposure to cryptocurrencies. So thank you for that. Next up, Bitcoin recovery may take months. They're saying 2 to 6 months, but the data says it's worth the wait. So Bitcoin dropped 20% from its all-time high, leaving analysts split on whether a slow recovery or fresh parabolic price break is happening. So we go back to Bitcoin, and after dropping from 126K to under 100,000 right now. So it's not went down to under 100,000, went to 99 for the first time in a while, but it's been like that pretty much all of November. This is the daily time frame. Goes down under 100,000. So it's crazy that we're talking about this now, dropping under 100 and then coming back up. I told you guys this level is critical, and I want to see how we act at this level. Like psychologically, people are freaking out. Psychologically, altcoins took a hit, but some experts are saying expect 2 to 6 months before new highs. Others think Bitcoin still has room to move sideways as institutional involvement, passive flows, and maturing market shape the price behaviors. I tend to think that this is really just a shakeout. That's what I think. I know a lot of people said the top is in, that was it. I think this is a shakeout. We've seen this time and time again, right? The next breakout typically happens after everyone's lost hope. And it's hard to lose hope when you see all these moves happening within the crypto space, right? Like you're not going to make 20 to 50x on Bitcoin, at least not in the short term, right? Long term, of course, Bitcoin will go up. It's deflationary. It's going to keep having value when it comes to, appreciation, just because of the supply and demand factor. We get that. But the altcoins, typically, I've seen this play out before, where I think it was the end of 2018 going into 2019. Everyone's lost hope, right? Bitcoin was down. I think it was down to like 2,900. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? And Bitcoin pulled back, and this is from 20K. So it went from 20K down to 2,900, and everyone's lost hope. You have Cardano at like 2 cents. You even have XRP pulling back. Everything's pulling back. And out of nowhere, once everyone has lost hope, there was a huge move, and it continued. The bull run started. That is exactly what I'm thinking is going to happen again, solely because when I look at these charts, it's really just a breakout, right? I'm just looking for a breakout. And it's holding these levels of support, very significant levels of support, I should say, almost perfectly. And so I even go to like Cardano, right? Look at Cardano, same thing, holding the support. So around 50 cent support. So if we break below that, just looking for a next level of support. But I think we're at the point now where it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And most people are going to be shaken out. So we have the privacy coin phase. We've seen that before. Privacy coins are going to boom. We have projects like Internet Computer, ICP, that we talked about before, making crazy moves, right? Crazy moves, up over 148%, right? Pulling back now, but went from like $2. What was it last week? It was the beginning of November. It was at $3 and shot up to $8. Right, we're seeing moves like that, like these random swings. And ICP has great tech, but they struggle with getting the word out and explaining it and getting marketing. They have some opportunity, but great tech for sure. But when we see this and we see the great tech with poor marketing, that unfortunately you'll have projects that have better marketing do well because people know about it. So this is what we're seeing. Like Zcash, people know about like we're going to see things run that wouldn't typically run. And then we're going to see that push where everything is going to explode. I would say people are asking, like, what do I think? Like, how do I know when we're in the bull run? I would say just you can base it off Ethereum. Ethereum clears $5,000. That's when you'll know altcoin season's here. That's the biggest. You don't even need this indicator right here. You don't need this indicator with altcoin season. Just go off of Ethereum. You can go off of Ethereum. Ethereum clears 5,000. Everything else will follow for sure. I think that's a safe way. That's a safe way we're looking at it. Of course, it's not financial advice. It's how we look at it. And like we see ICP. I think, I think that's one thing that's different between like us and like Arthur Hayes. Like we were talking about ICP, and there's documentation of it well before the push. And so I just think it's crazy. And this is kind of why I tell you guys, just watch what they do, because we're seeing the same thing with like all the problems with XRP, right? If you go and we look up like who was it? Was it Gary Cardone? We look up Gary Cardone. He's talking about like XRP, right? And just been talking about XRP continuously. And I definitely think that, right, it's going to be XRP. Oh, I won't buy XRP. Bitcoin. Mind you, he's a multimillionaire, like crazy, the brother of a billionaire, twin brother of a billionaire. And the crazy talk about XRP. And then when XRP explodes, now everyone, yeah, I've had XRP. I've had it. Like, we'll see the same thing. So watch what they do, not what they say, right? I want to see them, for some reason he's having conversations in the same rooms with XRP people, and is Bitcoin only right now, right? And the writing's on the wall for XRP to be successful in some fashion, right? But we're gonna see it's the same thing we just saw with Arthur Hayes. I expect we're gonna see the same thing, and it may not be with Zcash. I think it's gonna be with like Cardano, XRP, HBAR. I think we're gonna see people like AKA the Bitcoin maxis. All of a sudden, yeah, I have a little bag of that, and their little bag is probably like, almost a whale, or right under being a whale. And it's just something I've seen in the markets. And we can look up, who else was it? It was Scott Melker, right? And I think, I don't know. I think that there's what is it? Wolf of Wall Street, I think he goes by. Yeah, there we go. So we see here, you scroll down, just like talking about XRP and pretty much knowing, and I think he knows, like, these guys are smart guys. These guys are smart guys. And they got crazy Bitcoin bags because they've been in, like, Scott's been in a long time. Scott has been in a long time. So they have crazy Bitcoin bags. So they're super incentivized to talk about Bitcoin. Just keep buying Bitcoin, right? And they're right. They're right. The only thing I would say to that is they know that there's value in XRP, right? If they're talking about it, right? So I definitely think that, like, see, he knows there's value there. They're not going to come out and say that they own it until you see price go crazy, price moon. But the writing's on the wall that they know. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to sit here. I don't think they're scamming. I don't think they're misleading. I think they have a bag. I don't necessarily think it's XRP. It may be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but I think they have bags of other things. But I think they have a major bag of Bitcoin when they have altcoins. And by the time everything explodes to the upside, then you'll hear them come out and say, yeah, I made it. Like that. That's typically, you're going to see another Arthur Hayes effect, right? You've never heard Arthur Hayes talk about Zcash until today. I've never. So, and then Zcash explodes, and all of a sudden, yeah, it's my second largest holding now. We never heard you talk about Zcash ever. So, going off a little rant there, but definitely want to share with you guys, give you guys a market update. No shade, just all love. But just like I said, guys, watch the moves. You got to read between the lines a lot of times. Read between the lines. Do your own research. And realize that everything that's being fed to you may not, you have to think for yourself sometimes and do your own research. Everything that's being fed to you is not necessarily what is. Right? You have people like us who will tell you, yes, we hold this project. Like, you guys know we have ICP. Right, we've shared that, and it's not like as soon as ICP moves, then it's the first time I'm talking about ICP. And I've been a holder. I have some at RCP. Like, no, right? Read between the lines. If you're a maximalist in any way, and that includes XRP maximalists, right? As an investor, you're investing to make money. You're not investing to marry a bag. So definitely wanted to highlight that, guys. Give you guys some value. Hope you guys got some value out of this video. Keep moving forward in everything that you do. We'll see you soon.